Chapter 5 Season 1 was not a good season. Let me explain. In today's video we're going to be going through a variety of categories such as the map, the guns, the perks of the season, i.e. what made it different, as well as the glitches and the tournament gameplay. So if you're only interested in a certain topic I have to discuss, timestamps will be in the video. Make sure you like the video for the algorithm, and thank you for 2k trolls 925 for being a positive member of the JKC community. Let's go. Every good season has a good map, so let's talk about the map for Chapter 5 Season 1. Was it any good? We had some definite positives there with some great locations. Hazy Hillside was a great addition, as well as Fencing Fields and Lavish Lair, and some other good locations like Snooty Steeps. Also, I love the additions of the vaults, though I was a bit confused how they were always open in tournaments versus always locked in ranked and other game modes. It made sense to make tournaments harder to access the vault instead of easier, but that was just me. Let me know what you think. The definite downsides of the map this season was the forgettable locations, especially in that northwest type of zone. There was a ton of locations that were completely forgettable, and I actually had to search the names up to remember what they were called. These include Rebel's Roost and Ritzy Rivera. If you've landed at these locations, let me know, because I certainly didn't land there more than once. Let's move on to the guns. The SMGs, we had the Burst SMG and we had the regular SMG. The regular SMG felt this season really underpowered. It felt like it did absolutely no damage compared to some of the previous SMGs we've had. We've probably been spoiled by SMGs such as the Combat SMG, which was honestly crazy. The Burst SMG though is a different matter. This thing was crazy. Honestly might be a bit too overpowered, and had the whole community using this SMG in combat. Everyone was picking it, no one was picking the regular SMG. It's always bad when you have two SMGs and one's good and one's awful, because there's no one using the bad one. You need to have them both pretty evenly linked so people's playstyles can decide which one they want to use. We had a similar situation with the shotguns. We had the pump shotgun, well the equivalent of the pump shotgun, normally for people that like hitting hard shots, hitting piece control, all that sort of stuff, and the shotgun that does slightly less damage but shoots faster for the people that enjoy jumping in boxes. This season there was no balance between them. We had the equivalent of the pump shotgun being a weak shotgun. The people that had that playstyle suffered greatly this season due to not being able to use it that much. We were all pretty much forced to use the Frenzy Auto shotgun because it was crazy. This thing does so much damage and you can just run into someone's box and instantly win the gunfight. In my opinion, this is not how shotguns should work. We should not be forced to use a shotgun because it's that much better than the other shotguns. For some reason this season they decided to add bullet travel time for all of the weapons, so we had ARs that had bullet travel time. This was a problem for two of them, but not a problem for one of them. The regular AR, the one that looked like a scar, was ridiculous. It was so quick firing and did solid damage, meaning that if you're hitting your shots, you could absolutely melt somebody. Honestly, second spray weapon only to the Burst SMG. The other two ARs, however, you might be forgiven for thinking there was only one AR this season. That's how much they were unused. If you got one, you might use it off spawn in a 50-50 gunfight. Other than that, I was not picking at them at all. Then I think it was the Nemesis AR and the other one they added later in the season, both pathetic. Any other season they might have been usable, not this season though. Poor balancing is going to become a little bit of a theme. Snipers. If you've played this season, you've guaranteed been headshot sniped at least 10 times, probably more. As someone who plays the game a lot, the head snipers are so frustrating. Snipers should be really hard to use, they should be hard to hit a headshot. This season, they were not hard to hit a headshot. I didn't consider myself crazy with the sniper, but I was consistently hitting headshots. It was so unskillful and had 3 bullets in the chambers, even more if you had it modded up, meaning that you could have up to 5 bullets in the chamber for a sniper that can one-shot. So it was just pew, pew, pew. Every single bullet can one-shot. I really hope they remove them next season, because there's nothing like dying to headshot snipes in FNCS, especially when the guy's like 200 meters away and didn't even mean to hit you a headshot. So what made this season unique? What were the perks of the season? Let's discuss them. They had medallions this season. They started off super overpowered, but fair enough to Fortnite, they balanced them. And towards the end of the season, the medallions were super balanced. They gave you health, but they didn't mean that it was impossible to fight the person because they only gave up to 50 HP on the shield. One thing I was expecting though when the season dropped, and something Aussie Antics mentioned, was that the medallions were going to do different things depending on who you got it from. Maybe a power-up, something of that effect. But they all give you the same power-up, which, considering you're fighting all different characters, made it a little bit boring. I feel like the powers is something they could have incorporated. We're getting them all in these box fights, so just add them in-game. The mythics, we had a wide variety of them this season. The AR from Grand Glacier absolutely sucked, and the Wonder Tayson didn't do well in FNCS because he was landing at the place where that AR resided. In another season it might have been good, but compared to Nisha's AR, the regular AR, the overpowered version, it was nothing. That thing was wild. Another mythic that was wild was the Frenzy Auto Shotgun. That and Nisha's AR were crazy. If you had those two weapons, you were pretty much indestructible, with the auto being impossible to lose a fight within the box. All the other ones, like Peter Griffin's shotgun, were nice, they were strong, but arguably not too overpowered, which is important for mythics. They should be better than any other weapon, but not a guaranteed win, like that auto is. If I had that auto, I was never more confident in my life. The only reason you'd ever go down with it if there was a glitch. And lucky for us, there's a lot of glitches this season, so let's discuss them. Firstly, we had the server lag. Server lag in some parts of the season was disgraceful. It was all over the place. People were lagging, rubber banding, phasing through built walls, and this made a whole array of problems, such as phasing through walls, or also like same time deaths. This is when you're killing someone and they kill you at the same time. This happened to me probably about 8 times this season, and considering it's happened to me twice every other season, overall, that tells you a lot about the lagginess this season. Pretty crazy. And I play on 360 FPS. 8 times! I almost don't have enough fingers to count the amount of times I've killed the player and they've killed me as well. We also had the prevalent grapple blade glitch, which is where the grapple blade makes you take full damage after using it. I have a lot of personal ties to this one. This one happened to me in FNCS and I was not happy about it. I've lost count of the amount of times that people's Cash Cup games, people's tournament games, their FNCSs were thrown to this bug. Just having the ability for something that's not meant to take full damage, taking full damage, is something that should not be in the game 100%. Speaking of taking full damage, the flowberry glitch was also pretty prevalent. It was where if you eat a flowberry, you're meant to have no gravity or very little gravity for like 10 seconds or so. However, if you take the last jump and the gravity wears out, you're not meant to take full damage when you hit the ground. Fortnite didn't code that right apparently, and about 1 in 20 times when taking that final jump, you'd end up just taking full damage anyway. This happened to me in FNCS as well, the same week as well. Pretty crazy. Crash pads not working. Crash pad juniors were added, and when you put them down, you actually had to put them on a cone. Otherwise, running on them would not work. How crazy is that? That is such an easy thing to fix, but it was just not fixed this season. Double movement glitch. This killed Epic Whale in Grand Finals. He was just walking along the cone, he just fell off the build. Double movement glitch. That is why they didn't win the game. And that was just an FNCS Grand. Think about how many times it's killed people just playing the game. We had a medkit glitch about a week ago that meant you couldn't pop another medkit if you had them in a stack, which is obviously a big problem because heal off meta has been a thing this season. As well as this edit bug has been coming back occasionally. It's when you're hitting a triple edit, you finish a double edit, and you go to edit the wall and it just doesn't edit. That's been happening quite a lot to players. Not really a glitch this last one, but so many cheaters, man. Cheaters have been on the rise these last couple seasons and it is reaching new highs. I can barely play an FNCS now without running into some kind of cheater. Alright, let's move on to tournaments. Our final topic. The solo cash cups, as always, were all great. Maybe too spaced out. I felt like there was too many breaks in the flow throughout the season. With Christmas being during this season and also FNCS, it felt like every time I entered the cash cup, I was starting a fresh layer and didn't really give me a chance to, get going throughout the weeks. I was effectively starting my mental from scratch on every single one, which especially for me seemed to affect my performance. For me at least, duo cash cups seemed to be pretty forgettable this season. I always seemed to miss them or they were cancelled. The server lag ranged in the duo cash cups from playable to unplayable. It was either okay or awful. There was no in between. One thing I will say that's a massive positive, FNCS Finals was insane this season. We had pretty much every top player making it to semi-finals and finals, maybe bar Moneymaker, which basically shows that the game is competitive despite all of the glitches, snipers, auto shotguns. While the FNCS finals were great and I had a great time watching it, however, the FNCS qualifiers were anything but. The overpowered loot pool and lag and glitched gameplay made everything an uphill battle. And during the qualifiers, grapple blade bug was pretty prevalent. Every time you used the grapple blade, you were like, am I gonna die? It happened to me 2 games. While all this might be excusable because you might just come at me for being salty that I didn't qualify, this next part is not excusable. For FNCS semi-finals, they had a glitch that they sent the cheaters to the semi-finals instead of some of the teams that have qualified. So they sent about 4 teams of cheaters into the semi-finals instead of the teams that have qualified. I don't know how this is possible, but they managed it. This video has been a little bit of a complaint fest, but I want this to resonate with all of you, and next season when the video is super positive and I say how good the season was, you're all going to be like, wow, this is such a good change from last season. I'm glad Epic listened. But all in all, this wasn't a very strong season. I can't wait for the Greek Mythology season that's been promised to us next season. Make sure you drop a like on the video to wish Fortnite luck for the next season. And make sure you watch this video on the screen right now where I show you the top 10 Fortnite controller players of Chapter 5 so far. In a bit.